Welcome to this week's edition of Black Authors Matter TV, where we interview the latest movers and shakers in the African American literary community. You'll meet some old friends, discover new ones, and stay abreast of the latest book developments around the country and even the world. So sit back and relax for the next 2 hours with Black Authors Matter TV co-hosts Gwen Richardson and Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
Good evening and welcome to the February 18th edition of Black Authors Matter TV. I'm your host for tonight, Gwen Richardson, along with my co-host,
the very tired Dr. Rhonda Lawson.
I figured that you were preparing for your event.
I am.
Imagine. But we know how event preparation is and how exhausting it is. And we generally have to take a break afterwards. And yeah. I know I have to take a week after the festival. I have to take 7 days. It's just
and mine is yours is a 3-day event as well.
Yeah.
So these things take a lot out of you, but it's coming together, and I'm happy about it.
Well, I'm glad. So we have a few housekeeping notes before we bring on our first guest, and of course our National Black Book Festival registrations are coming in. We're at 40% sell through. So for those who want to attend, please sign up as soon as possible. The Black Authors Matter Children's Book Awards process has begun. So if you have a children's book you want to submit for that, go to blackauthors.matterbookawards.com. And all of the information and sign up is there. And then we're almost ready to start our process for the Black Authors Matter TV Awards. It comes up every year. It comes up really fast. The last show that will be included for this year's voting is March 4th. And then after that, the voting starts a couple of weeks after that. I don't have the date in front of me. The awards show is May 13th. So just stay tuned. You'll be able to vote for your best interviews in a variety of all the different categories. And it's a lot of fun. So we're going to bring on our first guest, and her name is LaJill Hunt. She's an author as well as a screenwriter. And we like to bring on authors who are doing other things as an extension of their writing. Either they expanded their horizons, or some of them stopped writing books and they've moved on, but some are still writing books and parlaying it into different other second careers or third careers. And that would be LaJill. So LaJill, welcome to Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you so much for having me, Gwen.
I was trying to think back on when I first met you. I believe it was when you came to our store with Carl, I think. Mm-hmm. And that would have been 20 years ago or something like that. Maybe a little bit more than 20.
Yes.
So, in a minute. So when we do our Zooms at home, often there are people who walk behind
Try
us.
to zoom in now, LaJill. We've already seen them.
I'm actually on set.
Oh,
a lot of people don't know this. I actually write for Country Wayne. So, ladies and gentlemen, D from the West Side.
Hey, what's going on? I'm sorry.
Hey, how you doing?
I didn't mean to interrupt you.
So I know you were doing screenwriting and stuff, but so just tell us a little bit about what you've been doing before we get into your latest book that you put out.
Pretty much, I am still writing books, but I also write for The Family Business television show on BET Plus, and I write for The Black Hamptons, which is on BET Plus. I have a few films that I've written for BET, For What It's Worth, Infidelity, Happy. I did an episode of I Got a Story to Tell. And I also write for Country Wayne, the skit series on social media.
And I've seen the skit series, and it is funny. So if you were helping to write those jokes, you are very talented.
Oh gosh. It's very exciting and interesting. I tell everybody this is my fun job. It really, really is.
You know, I've got to tell you, I've seen a lot of authors. You're doing it well, and you're at the top right now. But I've seen a lot of authors who have made that transition from purely just writing books to going into TV and movies, and it's like another level of your writing. And I will say that it takes a lot of talent because when you're writing a book, your book can be 100, 200, 300 pages long, but it's is what, maybe 90 pages long. So
90 to 92. Yes. We have to
how do you take that big idea and then whittle it down to 90 pages, but still make it a full story?
Pretty much. One thing that my strength is dialogue. So I depend on a lot of like heavy dialogue. So that I use my strengths in addition to I pick out what's important, and I know we only have this amount of real estate, so the house can only be this big.
By the way, is Country Wayne still in the room?
No, he was
okay.
He left.
Please tell him that Social Book Club said he fine.
That was D. That was Damian Gio.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
Well, I have to check it out because this is new information for me. I didn't know about Country Wayne. And so that's something that I love to laugh. I'm a happy person. So now did you all have a rating on it or anything? Or is it just kind of like open?
No, as it's pretty much on social media. It's on Facebook and YouTube. Okay. It's very clean. There's no profanity, like no violence. Like Country Wayne has very strict, rules about what we can and can't do in our skits, and we abide by it. It's pretty much fun. As with my books, as with my TV shows and movies, I am the drama queen, so I make sure that my storylines are very drama filled and drama driven. So
okay. So is it a half hour or 1 hour?
No, we drop a 3-minute skit. The skits are 3 to 5 minutes.
Short. Oh, okay.
They drop one every hour, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
So this is like a constant.
It's a whole soap opera.
It's a constant because I've seen them, but I see them usually when I'm just kind of scrolling and I'll see them and
you have to I tell people all the time, just go to the page, click on the videos, and it is a whole soap opera. It is a whole soap opera. Yes.
So do you have to watch them in order?
No, people have their favorite characters, just like they have like favorites on, like some people like Victor Newman, some people like Jack. It's the same thing on Country Wayne. Like you have your favorite characters, your favorite storylines, and you follow them.
Okay, I'm gonna have to check that out. I didn't know about I'm behind the times. I try to stay plugged in to a certain extent. I don't partake in everything, but I try to stay plugged in.
Motivation is to stay funny because if you're doing that many skits, you have to.
So, like I said, I write for D from the West Side, Damien. Okay. And it's just constant. It's like, what can we do next? What can we do next? What can we do next? So recently, we've introduced Damien's parents. His mother Angela is played by Rashawn Ali. So so we're constantly thinking of, and I tell people, I was like, I've always dreamed of writing for a soap opera, and now I write for one. Like,
well, so dreams do come true.
They definitely do,
but you have to work on it.
You really do. And they don't always come packaged the way, like the Black Hamptons is a soap opera, like the Family Business is a soap opera. So, no, it's not Young and the Restless, Bold and the Beautiful, like Days of Our Lives, but it is truly a soap opera that I get to write for every day.
Now, LaJill, I got to take you way back in the day because I remember you told a story about how you first got into a literary game when you first met Carl. And this, I believe, if I remember the story, because it's one of those stories where
I couldn't make it up if I wanted to.
Right. You can't make it up, but it's also a tale about how sometimes you have to secure the bag and it may come in a different way than you expect.
Mm-hmm.
So is that a story you'd like to share?
Sure. I tell people all, I pretty much was working for the phone company Verizon at the time. I was working in collections. Uh, the worst day to work for the phone company is on Mondays because we would cut people's phones off on Friday, so they would be without their phone all weekend.
Oh, y'all did do that on purpose. That was me.
So on Mondays, like it would be hectic and people would call and they would just cuss us out. And so unfortunately, the Sunday before this particular Monday, someone stole my purse out of the basket. I had put the groceries in the car and left my purse in while I was putting the groceries in, and somebody lifted my purse.
Mm.
And so I was just devastated behind that. And then I went to work on a Monday, and this lady, she was just all in my ear. She was going off on me. And I pretty much went off on her right back. And so I did not know my supervisor was monitoring us at the time. And she tapped me on my shoulder and she said, because every time that lady said something to me, I said something right back. And my supervisor tapped me on my shoulder and she said, come into my office. And so I went to her office and she dug in a drawer and she said, what's going on with you? And so I told her what happened with my purse. And she said, you need to do something positive with all that negative energy. And I was like, what? And she handed me a legal pad and a pen. And so I told her, I said, I'm not writing my letters of resignation. Like, then I can't get unemployment. And so she was like, I don't want your letter of resignation. I was like, are you going to fire me? And she was like, no. I was like, what do you want me to do? She was like, you're always reading a book. Why don't you go ahead and why don't you write one? And so I took that legal pad and pen and I went to my desk and of the girl that sat next to me, she had gone on a blind date for Valentine's Day. And she told me about this blind date. And I looked at her and I said, girl, what if you would have got pregnant? She was like, I didn't even sleep with him. And I said, but what if you would have? And she was like, that would not be good. I said, but it will make a good book. And I started writing. And it was like 20. It was like, I could not. What are you doing?
Hello.
So sorry, y'all. Like I told y'all I'm on set.
Yeah, you're at work.
Get out. Close the door. I told you, oh God. So I started writing this book about my, inspired by this blind date. And I finished it in record time. And I would write and send it out to my coworkers, and they were so entertained by it. Well, after I finished it, I went to a bookstore and I talked to the manager, and he said, well, do you going to self-publish? And I was like, yeah. He was like, if you self-publish, you're going to need a distributor. So I was like, okay. So he wrote a number on the back of a card and he gave it to me. And he was like, call this number and tell them, about your book and tell them you need a distributor. So the next day I called the number and the person that answered the phone, they were like, yeah, can I get a fillet of fish, some onion rings, and a strawberry milkshake? And so then he said, yeah. And so I was like, hello? And he was like, yeah. And I was like, hi. He said, who is this? I was like, my name is LaJill. I wrote this book. And he was like, okay. And so then I said, well, they told me to call you because I'm thinking about self-publishing. And he was like, why would they tell you to call me? And I was like, I don't know. I'm just telling you. So he said, hold on, let me pay for my food. And so I was like, okay. And so in my mind, I'm like, oh, this is ghetto. Like, well, who am I? Like, And so he comes back to the phone. And he said, tell me about your book. And I said, it's called Homies, Lovers, and Friends, the autobiography of a drama queen. And so then he was like, first of all, that title is too long. And so I was like, no, it's not. He was like, all those words aren't like, it will take up the whole cover. He said, there'll be no room for your name. And so I was like, well, he said, you need to call it drama queen. I was like, I don't know. I like my title. So he asked me about the book and I told him. And so I had called him on my lunch break and I said, oh, my lunch break is over. I was like, so are you going to help me distribute my book? He was like, I don't distribute books. And so then I was like, he said, but you know what? I like you. Call me when you get off. And so I was like, okay. I said, who are you? Like, I don't even know your name. He was like, he said, just Weber. And I was like, Weber, is that your first or your last name? And he was like, It's my last name. My first name is Carl. And I was like, that's funny. I said, one of my favorite authors' name is Carl Weber. He was like, yeah, that's me. I was like, you're not Carl Weber. He was like, no, seriously, it is me. And I was like, the Carl Weber I'm talking about, he wrote Married Men and Looking for Love. He was like, yeah, those are my books. I was like, you are not Carl. He was like, I am Carl Weber. I was like, oh my God, Mr. Weber, I'm so honored to be on the phone with you. And he was like, don't try to be nice to me now. And so ended up calling Carl. We just became like cool, really, because at the time he did not have a publishing company. He only had 2 books out. But he told me he was like, Jill, I'm telling you, I'm going to help you. And so that was in February. And he called me one day in June. And I kept saying, he told me to send him my manuscript. So I sent him my manuscript in February. Every time I was talking to him, I'd be like, did you read my manuscript? He was like, not yet, not yet, not yet. So he called me one day in June and he said, Jill, he was like, guess what? I said, I know you didn't read my manuscript. He said, actually, I did. He said, it's really good, Jill. And I was like, okay. He was like, and I decided to start a publishing company, and Drama Queen is going to be the first book that I release. And I was like, oh my God, like, yay. So I met Carl Weber because the manager of I met Carl Weber because somebody stole my purse. My manager didn't fire me, and somebody accidentally gave me Carl Weber's cell phone number.
Accidentally gave it to you.
Accidentally, because he thought he was giving me the number to a distributor.
Now that's what you described actually would be a good like movie, or even a series, because just the whole series of events is kind of unbelievable on the one hand, but also each thing builds on the other, the next thing, and they're all connected, and it's a happy ending.
Yes.
Yeah.
So it would be great. You could really write a story based on that. That would be funny. Just the whole Verizon thing.
Yes.
And when you worked for them, were they doing landlines then?
It was a landline.
They were cutting off landlines.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's what I thought. So it was and the light company used to do that too.
Mm-hmm.
They would cut your phone off and this is before they could turn it back on, electronically. They would turn your lights off.
Yeah, because when we would cut your phone off, we would have to send a technician out to cut it back on.
Right. So now they can just do it like that. But back in the olden days, your stuff would be cut off on the weekends. And young people, they don't know anything about that. Mm-mm. So I saw a movie recently. It wasn't a movie. I'm looking at ER. I'm binging ER, the original ER. And it came out like in the early 90s when it started. And the ER had a dial-up.
Oh gosh.
The internet. It was the dial-up. Which is so like, it seems like forever ago now, but it was, I think when you came to our store, we had dial-up, or it wasn't.
Probably. Yeah, because when I first started writing books, we would have to print our manuscripts out and mail
them. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh man, I remember those days, getting those big old manuscripts in the mail.
Mm-hmm. And your editor would like circle and put notes on it, like, yeah.
That's still a really good way of editing, but to edit by hand and you can actually see everything. But it's a long way.
It is. Well, I don't know if you knew this, LaJill. So this is another connection to Carl that we both have. Because I was the copy editor for Urban Books for several years.
Oh, wow.
Like 6 or 7 years.
Wow.
So they would mail me I would be the last person to read before it went to print to catch the last set of errors.
Yes.
And so they would mail me the big manuscript, and then I would send it back.
The good old days.
It just goes to show you how small this world is.
It is.
I used to be an Urban Books author myself, and I remember one time talking to Carl because Gwen had placed an order for my books, and I was like, Carl, Kush City just made a big order for my books, and I need my books. And he's like, all right, I gotta talk to Gwen. Next thing you know, I mean, that's just how small this world.
Yes.
It's and next time you see Carl, tell him I said hi. I haven't
I
seen
definitely
him
will. Yes.
in a while. So I used to see and talk to him often, but now it's like every few years I see him.
He a showrunner. Oh, child.
Yeah, yeah. He's normally like he's good at seeing the next thing before it becomes the next thing.
Right. Yep.
And he's been doing that for 20 something years.
Yep.
So tell us about your new book, Catching Feelings, and is it a standalone? Is it part of
the series? I think, oh my gosh, I think this is, other than my Christmas book, I think this is the only standalone I've ever written. Oh. And Carl specifically asked me for a standalone only because our TV responsibilities are so time consuming that I don't know when I have the opportunity to write. Like, it's okay, just do a standalone, and just leave it at that, because we don't know when you're going to get the opportunity or the time to write another, a series. So normally when people write series, it's like one a year. Well, if you are a traditional author, because we don't drop book like every 90 days. Like we do like one a year. And I think a lot of people don't understand that. Like, traditional authors are different from non-traditional, and we only drop one a year because when our books go to print, they print like 50,000 copies. Like, there's no way to print like 50,000 copies every 3 months. Like a non-traditional authors, like, they're able to upload their books whenever they're finished. But it is a process when you're with a major publishing house. So that's one thing that, is different for us. So finding the time to write one book a year is like, especially when you're writing for multiple TV and film projects. So he's like, contractually, you owe us a book. So I wrote Catching Feelings. I knew I wanted to write a sibling book. I had never done that before. So I wrote about these 3 siblings, Nick, Sabrina, and oh gosh, I can't think of the other sister's name. I got it right here. Lord have mercy.
I can relate to you.
I know, Tennille. Jesus,
it's been a while since you wrote it.
Yeah, I'm good for forgetting my own character's name, so don't even feel bad.
Especially when I wrote this book like last summer, I'm like, what?
Yeah, and you've been writing other stuff.
I have been writing other stuff. Yes. So it's about the 3 siblings, and they are raised by these great parents. Like, their parents have been married like 40 years, and they've always seemed like seen the love that and they all 3 of them strive to have what their parents have, but they keep missing the mark, child. They just keep missing the mark. So Tennille is married unhappily, but she's still striving to get what it is. And she got married based on some ill advice of a best friend, because she was involved in a relationship with the man of her dreams, who she loved very dearly. You good, Diana? Everybody else then interrupted. So she was dating the man of her dreams, but he never wanted to be married. And when I say he was a good man, he was a good man. And her friend said that her best friend was like, oh, he doesn't want to commit, then he doesn't love you as much as you think. And so she actually breaks up with him and starts dating another guy who instantly within 6 months was like, I want to marry you. And so she got the marriage, she got the ring, she got the house, she got the husband, but what she got is emptiness. Her brother, he wants love, but he's scared to commit himself, because the one time that he did, he ended up breaking the girl's heart. And he never wants to do that ever again. So he treads lightly when it comes to relationships. And then there's Sabrina. and she's so adorable and loving. And she's just waiting on the real thing. She's been engaged 4.5 times. So she has no problem getting the ring. She has a problem keeping it. And all of her broken engagements are because she gives the ring back, because she realizes you are not the one. So it centers around the three of them and their quest to find what their parents have. And by the end, you see who finds it and who just finds their way. So, yeah. And what happens when you catch feelings when you least expect it?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Okay. Well, Tony Benita says she's reading Catching Feelings now. That's the book she's reading now.
Ah.
Yeah, Tony Benita reads a lot.
Yes, Mama Tony.
Reads a lot of books.
Yes, she does.
And let's see what else. Let's see. So someone, I think this is a question. Okay, this is a social book club. So she's asking, so when indie authors, when they put their books on Amazon, the books are like $40 to $100 for a book. I'm not sure what that means.
$40 to $100. Woo,
I'm not
I
sure
know
what
what books
that
you've been
means
ordering.
either. Any insight on this as a reader? I'm technically a physical book girl. Okay, if you're seeing a book for $40 to $100, and you all can co-sign or add to what I'm saying, that is not typically the market rate for any trade book. A hardcover price now for like fiction or even nonfiction is running around $30. It used to be less, but now it's around $30. And paperback, trade paperback size is around 17-ish, 17.
There
And
have
Rashawn
been
Eileen.
instances of books being
Look,
on.
ladies and gentlemen, Rashawn Eileen.
Hi guys.
Hi, how are you?
I'm amazing. What's going? Black authors matter. I'm a Black author.
You are?
I have a children's book. Yes, I do.
Well,
I'll have to connect her so you all will be able to interview her as well.
Yes. Oh my
okay,
God.
yeah, we'll have to set up a time slot for you.
Absolutely.
In the
Absolutely.
future.
Take care, ladies.
Okay.
All right, nice seeing you.
You too.
So
This is the most interesting interview y'all have probably had in a minute.
I know
we've had a lot.
Yeah, we have candid appearances and everything.
Yes.
We've had a lot. But for the $40 to $100 thing,
Well, I have seen instances where there's been a book for $100, but I don't think that was the author's doing.
Right.
I mean, I've seen some of my books pop up on Amazon for $100 or sometimes
the
$400.
resellers they're doing it.
Right.
Yeah, it's a third party, but
it is.
My thing is when people sometimes will get alarmed about it, because I've had like new authors say somebody's selling my book for $100, and I tell them nobody's buying your book for $100. Just because something is listed doesn't mean it's selling. Mm-hmm. Nobody's gonna pay $100 for a book unless it's a rare like book that's signed by an author.
And I've had people come to signings and like they're like, no, don't make it out to anybody. Like, just sign it. No,
that's because they're gonna sell that book.
Yeah. But it's kind of like art. The price and value increases after a person passes, and then years after that.
Yeah, but I've had a friend email me mad. Well, he wasn't mad, like really mad, but he was like, "Look, Rhonda, I love your books, and you're a good writer, but I don't know about spending $300 on your book."
Yeah, they will sell them ridiculous.
But nobody's buying them at that point.
No. Right.
Why would they? When they can get the real one for $15 or whatever it is. So I'm not sure why people post that, but that was a question. So let's see. Any more before, because we're at the end of our time.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it goes by really fast.
This was you may have had a couple of appearances during your interview, but it was still a very informative interview. We learned a bit about you. We learned what you're doing right now. We learned about your new book. I posted the link to your book in the chat. Yeah, so folks can go ahead and order the book now while we're talking.
And I
learned about Country Wayne, which I didn't know, and I will go check it out.
Yes, because it is very entertaining. Okay. It will have you talking to the screen. Even the storylines that I don't write, I'm like, what? Why? Like, and then I will call like the writer for that particular, and I'm like, girl, why would you? And she's like, girl, you ain't seen nothing yet. And I'm like, oh Lord, I'm scared.
Okay, I'm gonna check it out. Well, LaJill, do you have a copy of your book with you? I know you're on set.
I do.
Oh, you do great. Okay, Catching Feelings by LaJill. Now, I think the one I saw was different. Is there more?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, the cover I saw
Amazon has a different cover on there, but that's the cover. Yeah.
Okay. Catching Feelings of LaJill Hunt.
Yes.
Go get your copy. Well, LaJill, thank you so much for being
Thank you guys so much for having me. It's always a good time with y'all.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Yes.
It's been on.
Yes.
So thanks a lot. And congratulations again on all the stuff you're doing.
Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you. Keep writing, keep doing your thing.
All right. Thanks a lot, guys.
Okay. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Okay, so that was LaJill Hunt, and I've known her for a long time, so has Rhonda, and we hadn't seen her in a while. So we are going to be bringing on our next guest, and I became aware of this book from one of my longtime customers that buys books from us. She still buys books from us, even though we're not in retail anymore. But this is an old customer that listens to NPR every day. She's a woman in her 80s, and she buys like almost every book that's on NPR being interviewed, the author being interviewed. And that's how I learned about this book. I thought it was just intriguing. And so I reached out to the author, and she agreed to be a guest on the show. So
I thought you were telling me that Justine was in her 80s. I'm about to say, dang, she looks great.
Thank you.
I was like, what are you putting on your skin?
You won't give me your secret.
Hours that listen to NPR told us about Justine. So, and that's who's in her 80s, and she lives in Harlem, and she's been buying from us for years, over 20 years, and she just calls me almost every day to tell me who she heard on NPR, and she wants to buy at least one copy of the book. So, Justine Hill Edwards, thank you for being a guest on Black Authors Matter TV.
Thank you. And thank you for the listener who heard me on NPR and encouraged, you to buy the book. That's great.
That's amazing.
Yeah, well, I just thought it was an amazing topic. Your book is called Savings and Trust, The Rise and Betrayal of the Freedmen's Bank. And do you have a copy of it? You have a copy of it there. And, okay, and behind you. So I just thought it was an amazing topic. She was very impressed by it. But also, years ago, this was before the internet was just taking off. The Mormon Church had a CD-ROM that had the records of the people from the Freedmen's Bank and their accounts. And that was how a lot of people traced their loved ones after slavery was over. And I don't know whatever happened to that, but we used to have it in our store. The CD-ROM, we used to sell it online and in our store. So that was like the early 2000s when that happened. And so
now it's available all online and
online. Okay.
For genealogists if you want to go and just kind of tool around there. I think it's great.
Okay, so that's what came to my mind when she told me about your book. And so how did you decide to delve into this topic?
Well, this topic has been with me for about 10 years now. I finished my PhD from Princeton in 2015, and around that time I was living in DC with my now husband. And so we would walk around the White House complex on 16th in Pennsylvania. There's the White House and Treasury, and now a building called the Treasury Annex. And I believe it was in 2016, the then Treasury Secretary approved of putting up 2 plaques that recognize the history of the Freedmen's Bank. One says the Freedmen's Bank, and the other plaque gives kind of 4 short lines about the history of the bank. And I thought it was interesting. And so as a historian, what I do is I just go online and look and see what else has been written. And I was surprised that there actually wasn't as much as I had anticipated. The last book at that time that was written was published in 1976. The book before that was published in 1924. And so there were a handful of scholarly articles about it. But I was surprised that the history of the bank was sometimes just a footnote in larger stories about the history of Reconstruction. And so I decided that this would be, I think, a great project. I was starting my job at the University of Virginia at the time, and I was finishing my first book, but I knew that this was a project that I wanted to do for my second book project. So that's how it got started.
It's really interesting. I mean, it's a great topic. I mean, especially when we look at this day and age, and there are more Black-owned banks than I thought there were, but there aren't a lot of Black-owned banks. In New Orleans, we still have Liberty Bank, which is a Black-owned bank. But I believe that might be the only one in New Orleans, if I'm not mistaken. But it's still an active bank with lots of different. It's a pretty big chain. There are different locations. So this has always been a topic that's been very interesting to me.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
for
I mean,
those
I think, oh, sorry.
well, I was going to say, for those who are watching who may not know what the Freedmen's Bank is or was, can you just give a little background on
Sure.
the Freedmen's Bank?
Sure. Well, the Freedmen's Bank was founded at the end of the Civil War. It was established on March 3rd, 1865. And the piece of legislation that created it was signed by Lincoln on the last day of his first term as president, the day before his second inauguration. And so, in many ways, the Freedmen's Bank and its kind of history tracks with the history of Reconstruction. It was established first and foremost for the nation's almost 4 million recently emancipated African Americans. And it was established by a group of white Northern philanthropists and bankers as a way to kind of help African Americans, most of whom lived in the former Confederate South. Their goal was to teach African Americans ideas of thrift, of savings, and to kind of give them the financial tools to make the transition from slavery to freedom. Now that's one side. That's one side.
Okay. Okay.
African Americans were at first really excited about the bank, but they were bringing with them really concrete ideas about their financial lives. I mean, a lot of them understood the benefits of saving. They understood the value of property ownership because they themselves were property. And so they kind of encountered this financial institution with kind of their own ideas about how they wanted to use the Freedmen's Bank as a vehicle to help them save, to ultimately buy land and property.
That's interesting, because when I first heard the term Freedmen's Bank, I was thinking that this was a Black-owned bank, but this wasn't actually a Black-owned bank, but it was established for Black people.
Absolutely.
In your research, were you able to find out whether this was something that people thought that they could trust? Like, because I could just imagine people saying, well, these white people are building this bank, but they're really just going to steal all our money from us, and they're not going to let us get ahead. I can just imagine some people may be thinking that. Did you find that in your research?
Not at first. I mean, so the original idea of the Freedmen's Bank came from a series of 3 military savings banks created during the war specifically for African American soldiers. And so we're talking about a period of time when Black men were able to serve in the Union military. They were being paid and increasingly on par with their white counterparts. And they wanted to be able to save money to send money back to their families. And so there were 3 military savings banks established in the summer of 1864, one in Norfolk, Virginia, one in Beaufort, South Carolina, and one in New Orleans. And these banks were incredibly successful, such that by the end of 1864, the Norfolk branch had accumulated about $65,000 in deposits, and that's about $1.2 million today in just a 6-month period of time. In the New Orleans branch, African American soldiers were put about $24,000, and that's about $461,000 today. And so these military savings banks were kind of testing grounds, both for white bank administrators, but for African Americans themselves, to kind of see if this would be a functioning prospect, especially as the war kind of died down and African Americans were looking for ways to kind of build up their financial lives.
Is Beaufort near water?
Yes, it is right
Because
near Charleston on the water.
Yeah, because those 3 places were near water, and I was just wondering, Norfolk is at the Atlantic, and New Orleans is at the Gulf, and I wasn't sure about Beaufort. That's the Atlantic as well.
Yes.
So I wondered if that had something to do with the banks being established, or if that's just a coincidence.
It probably had a lot to do with the fact that these 3 military banks were established by 3 Union generals. And so they were stationed in locations where boats and shipments of men and of arms could readily get to them. And so that's why they were established in these coastal locations during the war.
Okay.
Interesting. So it makes sense, though.
It does. And
it's a good question. I hadn't actually thought too much about it, but yeah.
Well, I'm from Newport News, which is near Norfolk. So when you said Norfolk, then you said New Orleans, and so I said, okay, there's water, so that I wondered about Beaufort. And a lot of, when you look at a lot of like Civil War movies and from that era, they talk a lot about the shipping aspect of the war, in terms of shipping goods or shipping people, blockades.
Yes.
It's part of, war strategy. So that was what made me think of it.
Absolutely.
So your title, Savings and Trust, is that the name of a bank, or was that like a metaphor for?
It could be a metaphor.
Both. And so the official name of the Freedmen's Bank was the Freedmen Savings and Trust Company, but shortened the Freedmen's Bank. But the kind of relationship between the idea of savings and trust, I think, was incredibly important to understand African Americans' interaction with the bank. And especially this question of trust is one that runs through the book. Really, what I tried to do was interrogate the fluctuating relationship between African Americans and white bankers around this issue of trust. And I mean, hopefully readers will come away thinking about their own relationships with financial institutions and how much they trust banks with their money. I think we perhaps now have a more trustworthy relationship than our counterparts did in the 19th century. But I think that there's still a trust gap. I mean, the research plays this out, right? The FDIC, for example, the Treasury in recent years have come out with studies saying that African Americans are disproportionately, especially compared to their white counterparts, unbanked and underbanked. And why is that? One of the reasons is because of lack of trust that African American communities have in traditional white-owned financial institutions. And so kind of connecting that layer of distrust back to the rise and fall of the Freedmen's Bank, I think is an important connection to make.
Yeah, I think that still happens. There's a lot of people who don't want to put their money in banks.
Yeah.
They'll put their money in the mattress or
absolutely
in the wall behind a picture.
Yes, underneath the mattress.
Buried in the backyard.
Yes. And we laugh.
No, I've heard about people who bury money in the backyard.
Yeah.
In a can, some kind of waterproof can, and then in plastic, just in case, you don't want to be robbed. It's all kinds of factors involved. And with the banking system, after the Great Depression, I believe was the FDIC started insuring banking. When so many banks failed, then people have more trust in that if something happens with the bank itself, if it collapses, their savings or their money is insured up to it increased. It used to be 100,000, but it went. I think it went up after.
I think it's 275 now. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it went up after 2008. I think that was when it went up after the collapse of the real estate market or the system, whatever. There's always it goes up, and if it goes up too fast, it goes down really fast.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's what happens with the finances. So, what's something that about the Freedmen's Bank that you would like people to know that they may not know, or some people may not even know about it? But also, what ultimately happened with the Freedmen's Bank?
Sure. Well, I think the data is really, really fascinating. So one, African American depositors, and by the end of the bank's history, the vast majority, about 90% of the bank's depositors were Black. They had put about $57 million collectively in the bank for a 9-year period. And that equates to about $1.5 billion today. And so we are talking again, and I think it's worth saying, about African Americans recently emancipated from slavery, putting tens of millions of dollars into this bank. And it was a demonstration of their preparedness for freedom, because there were lots of white Democrats who made the claim that African Americans were unprepared for the responsibilities of freedom. And at least financially, economically, I think the bank's short-term success showed that was absolutely not true. Another aspect of the bank that I think is fascinating is that it brings together, I think, a host of historical figures that rarely are in the same story. And so I talk a bit about Lincoln. I talk a bit about Grant. I talk a lot about Frederick Douglass, because he was an early supporter of the bank. He and his sons were depositors, but he is the last president of the Freedmen's Bank. He becomes president in March of 1874, and the bank is forced to close by Congress in July of 1874. And interestingly enough, he would spend the rest of his life trying to kind of clean his reputation, because he was known as the president of he's the first Black president, but the last president of the Freedmen's Bank when it failed. And so that's a fascinating story as well. But I think that there's so much to learn about African Americans' interaction with traditional banks and traditional finance, and actually how they were really successful financially in engaging with this institution, where white bank administrators ultimately used their money, their life savings, and gambled with it at a time that was really risky, both for them, but importantly for African Americans.
Yeah, I can see them being trusting just because of the hopefulness after slavery, where they were finally able to have some of the things they never had access to before. So they really wanted to believe that the people they were involved with were trustworthy. And so that's what ended up happening to the money that they got absconded, as people say. By some...
And we're talking about money being loaned out, and it's important to note the Freedmen's Bank was first established in 1865 as a simple savings bank. It was established to receive the deposits of former slaves. The bank's administrators were supposed to invest a third of the deposits in very low risk investments, and so government securities. But it only took 2 years for white bank administrators to start taking loans from the bank, and the bank was not supposed to make loans. Congress mandated that the bank make loans, but the first loan was made in April of 1867, and the man who took the loan signed on to be the bank's actuary 2 weeks later. And the actuary is the person who is responsible for evaluating the investment portfolio of the bank. And so the corruption sets in pretty quickly. And they rally members of Congress to amend the bank's charter in 1870. And when that happens, the floodgates open, and about $3.5 million of loans went out to the business partners and friends of the bank's white trustees.
So if I'm hearing you correctly, and I really hope you correct me if I'm wrong, but it sounds like these free men, these free men of color, these Black men were putting their money into this bank. But the people who were benefiting from the money that was going into the bank were white business owners. So they were making loans on money that was never even theirs.
No. And important, not just Black men, but Black women were depositors as well, often opening bank accounts in their own names, which was actually novel at this period of time. But yes, the vast majority, the millions of dollars of money in loans went to white politicians, white businessmen, white construction workers, white architects. And interestingly enough, a surprising majority of those men worked for the federal government, worked for DC, the Department of Public Works, worked for Howard University. And so they were on the board taking loans. They were making loans to their friends and colleagues, and about 95% of the loan volume went to whites in and around DC.
And they probably ended up being more like grants, because it sounds like they weren't repaid.
So by when the bank failed in July of 1874, 83% of the loans were in default, which meant
so these people never got their money back.
They never paid their money back.
It wasn't insured.
And so Congress attempted to set up a strategy for African-American depositors to get their money back, but it took until 1909, and about 58% of the money was paid back. But that means, of course, that 42% of the money was never paid back. And African-Americans really tried until the 1930s and 40s. They appealed to presidents, to attorneys generals, to comptrollers, to governors, begging for the money in their descendants' accounts. And nothing happened. And no one was brought on criminal charges for plundering the Freedmen's Bank.
Who was going to bring them up on criminal charges, though?
I mean, it's a good question, right? Well, there were a series of congressional inquiries, one in 1874, when the year that the bank failed, another one in 1876, actually from a Democratic congressman from Virginia. He was a Confederate general and a future leader of Virginia's KKK. And he organized a congressional hearing where he brought many of the bank's administrators to testify, but he didn't care about African Americans. He wanted to use the bank's failure to support his own political ambitions. Now, the final congressional inquiry began in 1879, and it was spearheaded by the first Black senator in the Senate, Blanche K. Bruce from Mississippi. And he knew that he wasn't going to be reelected, but he really wanted to make public as much as possible the malfeasance of the bank's administrators. And so that's on, I mean, you can read the congressional record, but no one was brought up on charges.
Well, can you show the cover one more time? There are people in the chat who want to know the name of the book once more. Savings and Trust.
And there's a
Rise and Betrayal of the Freedmen's Bank.
Yeah. I lost my question. Was thinking about just how horrible this whole thing was for the people who lost everything.
Yeah.
And they never were able to recoup it because their wages were already low, comparatively speaking.
Sure.
So if they were able to squirrel away money to save like that, then that was them being frugal, being, wise with their money, and for it to just basically vanish into thin air.
Yeah.
That's a horrible thing.
Yeah.
Now I remember my question. What did you use like for your research? What different materials were you able to access to put the book together?
Sure. Well, luckily, a lot of these records are available online. And I got to be honest, I'm a little nervous about future historians and scholars who want to do this work because a lot of the sources are in the National Archives. But you can go online and read the journals of the Board of Trustees of the bank. You can go on Ancestry and look up depositor records. And so, I mean, it is a great source for genealogists who want to trace family members, because many times the depositor records will say where the person was enslaved, if they were a slave during the period of slavery, family members, wives, husbands, children, grandparents. And so it is a great kind of source for that. But a lot of this research is online. And you can go to the National Archives in College Park, Maryland, and look at letters that African Americans were sending in the 1930s and 40s, kind of begging for money in their descendants' accounts. And so these records are available online, but I did have a wonderful group of research assistants that really helped me put this story together.
Yeah, it sounds like it was a lot of work, so it's good that you had research assistants.
Thank God for them.
Yeah, it sounds like a lot of details. And there's the senator that you mentioned. There was a book, because I read the book, but I'm trying to think of the title. It was called The Senator and something. It was by Lawrence Graham. I think he passed away a couple of years ago. He also wrote Our Kind of People.
Yes. I have read that.
Wrote the book about the senator, and it was I'm pretty sure it was that senator.
Blanche Bruce.
Yes. So that was a very fascinating book. I read that.
He's a fascinating guy. An amazing story. Born enslaved in Virginia and kind of rises and ascends to the Senate at a time when he was really one of two. So
yeah, right after during Reconstruction, or right after Reconstruction, we did have people in Congress and the Senate.
Yes.
And I think we have a governor somewhere. But then everything changed. The rules, the laws changed. Well, people didn't like it, and so they changed the rules, so we didn't have them anymore for a while until we had them again starting in the 60s. So there was a period where we didn't have the
Edward Brooke in Massachusetts was the next one, and it took
a long time. He was in the 70s, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Jantra, I hope I'm saying your name correctly. Jantra Morris. She said that this true story needs to become a movie.
I mean, I think it would make a fascinating movie. The end would probably not be as triumphant as we like, but there is, again, writing this book was an amazing process, and I was surprised at the amount of drama that was there, which I tried to play up in the book. But it's a fascinating story about Black promise and Black hopes. But unfortunately, African Americans were at the mercy of whites, both Republicans and Democrats, who were not as dedicated to the idea of financial freedom as African Americans were.
Yeah, not every story has a happy ending. I mean, if it's factual, it's factual. And that movie, I saw that movie. I think it's called The Bankers.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to think of, that movie, and I could not think of it. So thank you, Glenn.
Yes.
It was a good movie, even though it didn't end the way I wanted it to end, but it was really, really good. It's worth watching if you all haven't seen it.
It is pretty good.
So anyway, Justine, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. This has been a
Thank you for
fascinating
having me.
discussion. And thank you for all the research that you for putting this project together to inform people about this specific thing. You
Thank you
know,
so
you
much.
Yes.
you focused in and narrowed in on one specific thing and provided all the details about that one thing. And that's important. So I appreciate that. And my customer's name is Jean Campbell, the one in New York
Jean
that
Campbell, thank you
told
so
us
much.
about it. And I'll tell her that I interviewed you. She will be excited about that.
Wonderful.
She
Thank
doesn't have
you.
a computer or television,
I
so
mean,
she can't
she's
listen to.
reading. I love it.
She listens to
There
the
you go.
radio and
Well,
she reads
it goes to
books.
show that you never know who's reading your work and who's talking about you when you're not around. And it's great that she's talking about you in such glowing terms. So that
Yeah.
says a lot about the work that you put into this book.
Thank you so much.
And she did order your book, so
Wonderful.
she ordered more
Wonderful.
than one copy. So anyway,
Thank you for having me. This has been great.
oh, you're
Thank
welcome.
you for being here tonight.
Information. Have a
Have a
great
good
night. Okay, so well, that was different, some different information that we hadn't had before. We've had all kinds of information about history, but we hadn't had that information before. So that was really fascinating. So our next guest is an author who attended the 2024 National Black Book Festival, and he is a religious faith author, and he has a book about an inspirational book called Inspirational Moments, and he is joining us from, where are you joining us from, Lester?
From Stockton, California.
California.
Ooh.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, so it's still daytime where you are, huh?
Yeah, well, it's starting
It's
to
still daylight. Still daylight. The sun
Yeah,
hasn't
this-
gone down yet.
yeah, but there's still a little daylight left.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I got a chance to meet you at the festival. I don't know if you got a chance to meet him, Rhonda, but he actually came up to me and asked me some questions. So that was how I got to spend some
Yeah.
time with him. But you have you talk about your inspirational moments and how you have your relationship with God and how that's inspired you. So when did your book come out? Your inspirational
Well,
moments.
the book actually came out during the summer,
Okay.
the July time frame.
Okay.
But I had well, I wrote it maybe about a couple of years ago, but it actually came out in July during the summer.
Okay. And what did you want people to gain from reading your book?
Well, there's a lot in this book. It's not a traditional devotional.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. But there's a lot of devotionals available. We know that. But this particular one, um, it consists of scripture that stood out for me. As a result of that, there are commentaries associated with each of the group of scriptures. So one of the important things about the book is its format. So I include in the book a specific scripture about given subject matter along with accompanying commentary. But for each session, I also include an application page. An application page, yeah, consists of a principle as well as 3 application questions that are designed to focus the reader's attention on his or her life, whether Christian or non-Christian. So it's not just for Christians. And it also includes that principle causing that person to examine their lives and to respond to how applying the principles cited for that particular session can help improve their life, as well as the people around them So as an example, I've heard a lot of people who express their lack of confidence in their ability to pray. In each session, I include a 5-step process of developing a prayer that anybody can do. So once a person has completed the 5-step process, they're then asked to put it all together and then read it back to God in the name of his son, Jesus. So they then, they've developed a prayer. So this process is available and it's repeated in each session. And then in addition to that, at the end of each week, I have a page I call the Poured Out to God page. And in this particular page, a person is able to record all of the detail, a detailed prayer, I should say, about any of the subjects that they have studied during the week. So by the time that person has completed this 6-week process, they will have developed a daily habit of reading the scripture, analyzing how the scripture affects and relates to them in their lives, as well as they will also have developed a routine prayer life. So, and as they continue with the process on their own, they will improve their relationship with Jesus. So lastly, most people usually don't remember what they read. I'm sure you've probably been there in the Bible. And one of the things that I also include in the book is at the very end of the study, I include a process that teaches the reader how to prepare for Sunday school, for a Bible group discussion, how to prepare for teaching a Bible study, or to just simply hold a discussion about a biblical discussion that one might want to engage in. So a person purchasing and acquiring this book and utilizing this book along with the Bible and support of the Holy Spirit will greatly enhance their lives. And I will also add to that this is a 6-week program. And the book is in a certain order, but it doesn't have to be used starting from day 1, going through day 30, or lesson 30, I should say. It can be used the way it speaks to your life. So if you see that you like something in the middle of the book, not a problem. It's designed that way purposely, especially for people who might be very busy and, they just don't have time every day to sit down and study. So they can do it at their own convenience.
So this isn't just, as you said earlier in the interview, that this is more than just a devotional, because often devotionals are, you read a daily set of scriptures, and sometimes it's going to be, I don't want to say a summary, but for lack of a better term, I'll say devotional that you would read and then you would read the scriptures. So
Right.
yours actually helps a person to build their prayer life and to build the habit of studying the Bible at the same time.
That is exactly right. It helps introduce to some principles in the Bible that in some cases people have heard about, and in many cases in error. But we go through it and we talk a lot about, the specific, the details. So, as I said earlier, there are a lot of devotionals. But this devotion is different than the traditional devotion. And one way different is that it's written through the eyes of an African-American male. And I'm not saying that there are no other African-American males who have written devotionals, because we know that's not true. But what I am saying is that it's different than this one. As an example, over the years, I've talked to Black people, for example, who say they cannot put their trust in a Jesus who supports slavery. And I've also come in contact with uh, white people, white Christians in particular, who believe that based on what they've been taught, that slavery was okay and that God condoned it. Well, they both are wrong. God did not and does not condone slavery nor oppression of his people. And I give scripture in the book and a brief commentary and a prayer that shows that God does not condone slavery nor oppression. So studied in this session, and the name of this particular session, for example, where I address that is, what does God think about slavery and oppression? And it opens up one's mind and their hearts um, to present another view of God and his position on slavery for people who have been misinformed on this subject, both Black and white citizens. And I'm hoping that as many people as possible will pick up on this because it saddens me when I hear particularly African American men who say they couldn't trust Jesus because of slavery. It's no different, I guess. Sure, there's a lot of examples of slavery in the Bible, but it's not there because God condoned it.
I mean, God gives us free will, and there are going to be some people who do certain things that are not in line with his will, but it doesn't mean that he's condoning it.
That's right. And that is absolutely right. Today, we have all kinds of sin in the world.
Right.
But I think we can say that God doesn't condone it any more than he did when we had slavery. So again, another point is that it's this book, I cover several interesting and controversial subjects that most devotionals just simply don't address. And God placed those in my heart to talk about because I spent so much time over the years, studying those. So it's very, but one of the other points too I should make is that the commentaries are about specific messages that the scripture being studied conveys. So none of the commentaries involve my personal opinion. All of the commentaries in the book involve scripture being used to explain scripture. Consequently, there's a lot of scripture involved with every session. Some might even say it's overdone in that way, but I wanted it to be that way because I wanted to show that the same principle in most cases are carried through the Bible. So I did rather include scripture from both the Old and the New Testament as I emphasized certain subject matter. But the important thing is that none of it is my personal opinion. It's not my personal opinion. It's God's word.
So now, what is your background? What led you to doing the book? Are you in ministry? Did you teach Sunday school?
Well,
Were you a deacon? What led you on this path?
well, well, first of all, I didn't include any information about what I do relative to qualifying me for this particular book. My background is in information technology. I spent over 40 years designing wide area, local area, metropolitan area, telemedicine networks. But I have also been very, very involved in an international Bible study. For the last 17, 18 years, I've been a group leader rather, for an international Bible study. And I point out in the prologue of the book that I'm not a theologian. I don't claim to be a theologian. I don't have, I have advanced degrees, but not advanced degrees from any seminaries. So if you're looking for a book, you know, by somebody with that kind of background, then this is not the book for you. But if you're looking for a book written by somebody uh, who's being taught by the Holy Spirit over the last 20 plus years and has placed in his heart to write about those uh, things that he has studied, then this is a book you ought to read. So in answer to your question, I have I do have a background in studying the Bible. Like I said, for the last 18 years, excuse me, I have been a group leader for an international Bible study. Bible study is approximately 400,000 people worldwide. And I today have an international group of men of 18 men who I shepherd um, weekly. Twice weekly we come together, and I also am always available for them when they need prayer or any other things that can be dealt with by with me as a group leader. So I've been very, very involved with that, and that's I do know some people uh, who have attended seminaries and who have said that the study that we're in is even more rigorous. So, and I also serve on a prayer ministry at my church. Um, those are the things that I do. I was raised in the church since I was around 7. And I talk about this in another book whereby I was raised in the church and I was very active as a teenager in the church. But when I graduated from high school and went to college, I put church aside and I didn't go back to church until maybe 35 years ago now. But when I went back to church, I had this teacher, the Sunday school teacher, who would assign us questions. She would assign questions at the end of the lesson for us to be prepared to answer for the next week. And she would do that on an rotating individual basis. So whenever I got a question, I did a lot of research. And my research caused me to write a lot of commentaries. And then as I wrote the commentaries and did the research, I would also become, I would see other scripture, I would see other things that were of interest to me that would lead me to study that as well. And then I'd write other commentaries. So to make a long story short, over X number of years, I had developed like a maybe a 5 or 6 spiral banded tablet of all of these commentaries and scriptures. So then, I got had the desire to then write a book about those. So that's basically what led to writing a book.
How long do you think it took you to, because it sounds like you had a lot of writings. So even though you had the ideas and you had a lot of it already written, I'm sure it took a while to decide what should go in the book, what you should expand on, what you might need to take out. So how long did that process take? And how did that process go for you?
Yeah, that's a good question. I had an interesting experience when well, first of all, like I just said, I started writing the book years ago. Didn't know at that time, obviously, that I was writing a book, but I was just doing commentaries and based on the scripture. And so I kept those. And then a couple of years ago, I had this urge to write a book about those commentaries. So I did go through and I examined everything I had written over the years through that, I think, 6 tablets. And I selected them based on what really stood out for me and that the most, and those things that I felt that I could effectively relay to other people that would benefit other people's lives. So those were the things that I did to determine what would be included in the book. But an interesting thing happened during the process. Um, After I had decided that I was going to write the book, I didn't start writing the book right away. Actually, I selected the topics that I was going to write about, and then I put my tablets away, which I thought were, for a better time. And I started to get this really strong urge to complete the job. And this is about a year, maybe a year and a half later. And after then, I went to locate my books and I couldn't find them. So I had misplaced them. And obviously that created a real problem for me because now I had misplaced the book, so I could, I mean, the tablet, so I couldn't, in my opinion, at that point, couldn't write the book. But then later, I got even greater, a stronger desire to write the book. So something, I got this thought that, well, maybe God wants you to just start from scratch because you're a different person than you were 25 years ago when you started the process. But I still had the list of subjects that I was going to write about. So I settled down and I went ahead and I started to write the book based on the list. And I was very pleased with the way it progressed.
Yeah, there's a couple of things that came to my mind when you were talking about your journey. One is when I asked you about what led you, like what was in your background, I wasn't uh, being critical or saying you needed to be lettered or anything because I'm a PK.
Right.
But I know you can get in. You don't have to be a preacher or a pastor or a bishop to get inspiration from the word.
Right.
We all should be able to get inspired. And I know one of my books is called 21 of Satan's Schemes, Tricks, and Devices. And I spent 2 years studying the Bible as far as Satan was concerned, because there's scripture that don't be ignorant of Satan's devices. I said, a lot of people are, and that's what led me to it. Well, I was out one day selling my book, and a pastor asked me, well, what gives you the right, basically the right or the credentials to write on this? And I said, well, I am a Christian, and also I spent the years studying the topic. So sometimes a lay Christian can give a different perspective than a minister.
Yeah, you don't have to be a minister in order to spread the word. We were all commissioned.
Right. So, that was why I asked about that. But also, when you were talking about your background, it's interesting that you spent so many years in technology. And then it sounds like your faith was strengthened during that time, your commitment. And a lot of people see technology and faith as two separate things.
Right. Well, that's true. A lot of people do. That was not the case for me because, as I said, about 35 years ago, I went back to church. And when I went back to church, I was serious about it. And so I did delve into the word. And I love, a lot of people call me a workaholic because I love technology. And even when I retired, I thought I would not be able to really put it aside as I have been able to do, because I wasn't just involved in the technology itself. I was also a professor at a couple of colleges for several years. So I was living technology, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun because I got to do a lot of things that most people simply have not been exposed to,
That's
like
awesome.
designing telemedicine networks, that kind of thing, in several states and interconnecting several states, their telemedicine networks. So it was a very interesting job. I enjoyed every minute of it. But when I started to write, I I enjoy that too. So I have a new career.
Well, that's great.
So does that mean that you're going to have another book on the horizon?
I have now, I haven't shared this with anybody, but I have on the table I have a murder mystery that I would like to write. I'm doing some research, and
That's a departure.
That is.
yeah,
That's
it is. But it's based on a story that I think should be told,
okay.
and that's the best way I know to tell it.
Okay.
Okay, well, we got some breaking news on
Yes, we
about
did. I like it.
about
This
what
is
you're
what we
doing.
do here on Black Authors Matter
Yeah,
TV.
it is.
Yeah.
We have breaking news on the show. So, do you have a copy of your book with you
I do.
to show the cover? Because we hadn't done that yet, so people can see what the cover looks like. And those of you all who follow the
Wait, put it right in front of you, sir.
yes,
Put it right.
okay.
Oh, no.
No.
That was worse.
Like that?
Okay, right there is
Almost.
good.
Right there is good.
A
That's the
little bit
top of
higher.
it. A little bit higher.
There
A little bit higher.
Okay.
No, then it's gonna cut off.
Okay, then it's gonna cut
Yeah.
off. Okay, so a little bit lower, just a
Okay.
tad.
Yeah,
Okay,
right
there
there.
you go. There you go. It's inspirational moments. So,
Yeah. And I put your link in the chat. Lester, oh goodness, LesterPatrickBooks.com.
That is correct.
yeah, and so this is what when we write, we don't always have to only write about one thing.
Yes.
You know, I agree. I'm new to this, but in my memoir, Weak Start Unapologetic Present, I talk a lot about some unknown history, some unknown Black history, which obviously is American history. You know, I enjoyed writing that as well. And, you know, so I'm looking forward to delving into this experience of writing the murder mystery.
Yes. I'm looking forward to reading it because that's quite a departure, but I like a good mystery novel.
Okay.
It is. And like I say, we don't have to all be in one lane because I have that one book based on the
Right.
Bible about Satan's schemes. But when people ask me what do I write about, I write in about 5 different genres. So I write what inspires me, like you're doing. You're getting ready to do a mystery. You were inspired to do that. So I write based on inspiration. And when you are one thing about being an indie author, you can do that. You're not bound by a contract telling you have to write this and you have to write so many books and it has to be ready in a year, you know.
Yeah.
So there are benefits to being indie. Well, that's the end of our time, Lester. Thank you so much
okay.
it goes by quickly. Thank
It
you so
does.
much. Thank you for being a guest on the show. And we hope to see you again in the future. Let us know
Thank
when you
you.
have your mystery, when you actually when you finish it and it's available. Make sure you let us know about it.
Okay, thank you for the invitation. I really enjoyed it.
Well, thank you for being here tonight. God bless you and keep doing what you're doing.
Thank you. Good night.
Good
Good night.
night. Okay, I forgot to tell people we had a book to give away, so it's going to be fast. It's time
Oh,
for
I forgot about the book.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is actually an advanced reading copy of The Queen of Sugar Hill, which came out about a year ago by Rashonda Tate. And it has a gift wrap on it, and it's the advanced reading copy. So the question for this book is the Hattie McDaniel, who's the Queen of Sugar Hill, got an Oscar for playing a role in Gone with the Wind. What role did she play in the movie? And if you get the answer to that, then if you've seen Gone with the Wind, then you would know it right off. But if you haven't, then you can look it up. So,
Well, see, I know it because I know my history.
yeah, I've seen that movie a bunch of times. Not all the way through, but parts, So we have our final guest, and I've been connected with this particular author for a while. I've never met him, I don't think, but don't quote me. But
I've met Mr. Roy. It's been a long time.
I don't know if I have or not, but he might remember if we did. But anyway, we're welcoming Roy Glenn to Black Authors Matter TV.
You seem to be muted.
Well, he's not muted. Maybe his
It
volume is
might be
down.
his earphones or something.
Maybe your volume's down. Because he's not muted.
Mm-hmm. Okay, well, while Roy is figuring that out, I am going to share how I met Mr. Roy.
Okay.
But my first time doing a book signing in Atlanta, Georgia. My publicist has set it up, but for some reason, that particular bookstore, I don't know if they didn't know it was coming or maybe the manager forgot. I don't know what happened, but some kind of way I'm talking to the manager trying to let them know I'm supposed to have a book signing that day. And then all of a sudden, I heard a deep voice behind me saying, "She can sign with me." And it just happened to be Roy Glenn behind me. And that was how I met him.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've ever met Roy, but I see him online all the time, and we're
Yeah,
connected.
and I'm thinking he's still having issues because I see a troubled look on his face.
Yeah, and you know what? I just made you the co-host, which I forgot to do earlier.
It's okay. You don't love me.
I'm gonna have to start doing that habitually. So, Roy, can you are we okay with sound? I don't know if he can't. Can you hear us?
Yeah, he can hear us, but we
Yeah.
can't hear him.
Okay. Do you have another device you can try logging on, like your phone, and
Or
just
maybe take your earphones off and see if it might be something in that.
Huh?
See?
Well,
I just heard
I hear a voice now.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, we're good then.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hi, Roy.
I was kind of distressed for a while there.
I saw the look on your face.
Things happen, and this show is live, and when it's live, anything can happen. And so we're
Yeah, because I was
prepared.
looking at the mic the whole time. I'm like, why is my mic off? And I'm trying to figure it out. I'm like, or say, well, maybe the site has my mic muted. So I just went with it.
No, we didn't have it. We didn't have it muted. But anyway, thank you so much for being a guest on the show. And like Rhonda was telling how she met you in Atlanta the first time she met you.
And if my memory is correct, and sometimes it isn't, I met you in Houston. You guys have a store in Houston?
Yep. Yeah, used to. We used to. Uh-huh.
So my wife and I, when we got married, we our honeymoon tour was book signings. So we went on to book signings in Georgia, Florida, Louisiana, Alabama, and our last stop was at your store in Houston.
Oh, wow. Okay. So I have met you in person.
It was a long time ago.
It was a long, because we haven't had the store we closed the store in 2010.
Yeah, believe it or not, Gwen, I've never been to your store. I knew you had a store, and I used to order my books through you sometimes, but I never actually got a chance to visit your store. And then you went and closed it down. Then I had
We did it for 10 years. And
Yeah.
I tell you what, having a bookstore independently is not easy, and it's even harder now. And there were two of us, my husband and I, making a living doing that. And then but we always kept our ear to the ground, and we evolved. We always pivoted. And so we still pivot. We keep our ear to the ground. Because you have to do that when you're in business, when you're an entrepreneur.
You most certainly do. This was back in 2002. So
okay, yeah. So see, that was when we opened the store in 2000. So, and we closed it in 2010. So, but it was when people tell me they want to open a store, or they try to do a store, or whatever, they're thinking about doing a store, I can at least give them some advice if they want it. So I figured that was the experience, is for me to have some wisdom to share with other people. And I met, and you all who watch the show know that a lot of the people that come on the show are people I've known for 20 something years because of the store. That was really the website and the store. That was how I met all these people originally. Now I meet a lot of them when they come to the book festival. So, but I've been in books. I've been in this space for 25 years. And so it's, I can share a lot of information. And I met just about everybody. It's very few people that I haven't met at some point that are, writers, writing books, whatever. So tell us about your career, Roy. You were doing a book tour in 2002 with book signings. So I'm assuming it was your books.
Yeah, I was self-published then.
Okay.
And that was how I started out. I started out self-published, and for some reason my camera just went out.
I'm gonna say, Roy, where'd you go?
Yeah, where'd you go?
I'm still here, but for some reason my camera's gone.
Your computer will not let you be great tonight.
No, it's not. It is just where. There we go.
You're back. Okay.
Okay. Right. So, and I was listening to LaJill's I Met Carl story, and I have I Met Carl story too. So I was living in Atlanta, and I was self-published, and someone encouraged me to go to an event that and they had authors. And the first one I went to was Donna Hill, and I met Donna Hill there. Okay. And the next month they had Carl. So I went to see Carl, and they allowed everybody to get up and do their stump speech. So I get up and I do my stump speech, and I'm looking at Carl. Carl's sitting in the back, and I see Carl nodding. So I'm like, yeah, I got him. So at the end of the event, everybody's going up and saying hello to Carl, and Carl says, "I want to talk to you." So I sit down, and Carl talked to everybody. Everybody was gone by the time Carl got around to me. And so he said, "I'm interested in your book, and I'm going to read it. I'm going to California, and I'm going to read it, and I'll get back to you." And he called me up and said that he was going to publish the book. And after that, Carl and I became friends. And then he, when he started Urban, he said that that I was the second book that Urban Books published. So
okay.
First, and my book was second. Is the Crime was second. And I used to tour with Dwayne and LaJill when we first started out.
Okay, Dwayne Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Yep, I remember Dwayne too. I went to his book launch in Baltimore. So
and he went on a cruise with them. He went on an author cruise we had. I don't know what year it was though. Maybe I don't know. I can't remember what year it was, but maybe 15 years ago, somewhere in there. And he went. He was one of the authors that was on the cruise with us. And so, but he stopped writing. He just like abruptly stopped. I don't know if he started back, but he abruptly stopped several years ago.
So how many books do you have now, Roy?
Yeah, I was going to ask him that too.
Yeah.
It's in the 70s.
Yeah, I know.
70.
Quite a bit. I didn't realize it was 70. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. I didn't realize you had that many books either. Now,
therefore I am.
What is your so all of your books in the same genre, or?
I've written I've written 8 romances, but all the rest of them are gangster mystery suspense. And there's a couple that I've written. I did a series called Suspense. It's a whodunit, a government whodunit. So, and
that's timely.
One Last Hit, On the Run, and This Masquerade. But other than that, everything else is gangster mystery suspense fiction.
Okay, now you have a new book called This Time Baby that came out in December.
Mm-hmm.
So you have a copy of your book with you?
I most certainly do.
Over.
I went downstairs and got one when you were having everybody else get there. I'm like, let me go get my book.
Well, at least
you should have brought it with you at the beginning, Roy. How y'all be coming on the show to talk about your book and they don't have your book with you?
You know, I just recently moved and I can't find anything because
that happens when
in the garage and I haven't gotten to all the boxes. So I'm unpacking stuff one box at a time. And I brought some of the books up here because I got a bookcase up here and there's 4 bookcases downstairs. We got plenty of books.
Yeah.
And I was looking through the stack here and I'm like, I know I brought that book up here. So I'm like, okay, well, let me go downstairs and get one. Because I got a box of them downstairs.
Yeah, that's the thing about moving. And Rhonda, you recently moved. My plan is to never move again. And
I said the same thing. I don't want to move. I mean, moving into this house was a doggone adventure.
Yeah, I mean, and there's things that you lose and you never find them.
And there are things that I've come to the idea that there are things that I just do not need. Because I've been here for months now. And I haven't seen these things, and a lot of stuff we haven't seen since we moved the last time. So it's been over a year and a half since we've seen some of this stuff. We do not need that stuff.
Yeah, that's true.
But if you find it, you're going to convince yourself that you need it.
Yes, that's why I don't want to find it. Or take it all to a yard sale or donate it to Goodwill, do something else with it, but let's not bring it in the house. Because if we bring it in the house, we will rationalize why we need to keep it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the thing. That's the thing about stuff. I try to weed out things periodically. Clothes, I do Goodwill twice a year. And my rule is if I haven't worn it in 5 years, it goes.
It got to go. I got a closet full of clothes because I retired, so I don't go to work anymore. So all the shirts and ties and all this nice stuff is just sitting there, all nice and neat in the closet. Like, you should be sleeping with this because you are never going to wear it. You're a bum now.
Yeah, or not all of it. You don't need to wear.
I live in Florida.
Yeah. Now you moved from New York. You're from the Bronx originally, right?
Yes. From the Bronx, and I lived in Georgia for 20 years, and we went back to New York when I was working for Urban, and now we're down here in Florida.
Okay.
And you've been in Florida for a little minute now, haven't you?
15, 16, 17 years now.
Oh, okay.
Since 2007.
Okay, so the weather's different.
Yeah. I'm here for the weather.
Yeah.
I'm here for the weather.
Yeah.
In Jacksonville, right?
Most of my family still lives in Atlanta, and I'd like to move back there, and they'd like me to move back there. And I'm like, yeah, but y'all got that whole traffic thing going.
Oh my goodness, the traffic in Atlanta is terrible.
Yeah, I don't go to Orlando for just that reason.
Yeah, well, I live in the
And they
DC.
did
I
a
live
lot
in the
with the
DC
highway there, so
area.
it's better, but it's still bad because you
It
can't
can't be any
invite
worse
the
than the
world here
DC
and not
area.
expand your highway. It's just not. It just doesn't make sense.
It can't be any worse than the DC area. The traffic here is horrible.
Yeah,
It'll take you an hour to go 15 miles.
yeah. So when my wife is from the DC area, and we used to go up there quite a bit, and we were just like, okay, when we get to a certain point, we'll just be crawling for the next 2 hours. We get as far as Fredericksburg. We get as far as Fredericksburg or something like that on 95,
on 95. Is it 85 or 95?
On 95, yeah, on 95. We're on 95 by that point, and you're just gonna crawl for the rest of the way into DC.
That's exactly right.
And
But now, Roy,
we're leaving.
Roy, as much as I would love to keep complaining with you about the traffic, because I hate the traffic. The people want to know, because there's some people who are new to your books. They want to know what's your last name, because you don't have it on the screen.
I'm Roy Glenn. I'm Roy Glenn. Let me go and say that right now. My name is Roy Glenn. My books are available on Amazon.com and anywhere books are sold. I've got quite a few of them, so reading my books is a commitment.
So if someone wanted to start reading Roy Glenn, let's say they've never read it. They've never read any of your books. This and that would be me. Okay. So what book would be good to start with if they haven't? Since you have so many, what would be a good start?
With Is It a Crime? Is It a Crime is my first book, and that's where you should start. I have a 4-book throwback series where I take Mike Black back to when him and Bobby Ray were young and just getting started. But you should start with Is It a Crime?
Is It a Crime? So Rhonda, type that in the
he
chat.
meets the love of his life.
Okay, right. Type that in the chat, and then so in case when I go to put stuff in my shopping cart, then I can.
You got to be ready for the type of books that Mike Black is in. Mike
is
Black
it still in print though?
Excuse me?
Is It a Crime still in print?
Yes, it is. As a matter of fact, Erdboom Books just released the 20th anniversary edition of Is It a Crime?
Okay, all right. I just want to make sure that it's available. Okay, Ron, I'm sorry. So you were asking him something.
I just wanted to make sure because Mike Black was a gangster.
Yes, Mike Black is still a gangster. He is a retired family man gangster, but he is a gangster.
Is his middle name Roy?
No. No. And I've had to do, and I don't get to do it as much as I used to, but when I first started out, people used to ask me all the time, "You Mike Black and Arvita Shaw, right?" That's y'all. Like, no, I never ran a criminal organization in New York.
And what else? What else? Keep going. You never.
I haven't killed I haven't killed large numbers of people. So no, this is not me. This is all a figment of my active imagination.
Okay. Now, were you writing full time when you wrote these 70 books? Were you doing it as a full-time writer, or were you doing it as a sideline?
Most of the time, I just retired 2 years ago, so most of that work was done while I was working. And I was on that self-published treadmill where it's to your benefit to drop a book every 90 to 120 days, because that's how you keep your money flowing, because Amazon drops you a little bit of change every month, and you want to keep your little bit of change going. So no, you drop another book. So a lot of that time I was self-published and on that treadmill and dropping books. You get an idea, you write it and you go with it. So it helps that I write continuing characters, so I don't have to recreate the wheel each time I come up with a storyline. A lot of my storylines are continuing, and I have the benefit, since there are so many of them, that I can go back and draw from other storylines and other experiences to feed those characters. So at this point, the characters kind of like dominate the storylines and tell me where their character wants to go at this point.
Okay. So do you have a favorite book or series that you've written among all the books? See, I had no idea you had so many books. I wouldn't have guessed.
My favorite book is always the book that I'm writing.
Okay.
I'm in love with that book, and I'm into the characters, and it's live or die at that point. So like yesterday, well, actually this afternoon before I came on, I finished a ghostwriting project. So now I feel like, okay, what now? Like I need something to write, so I'm not creating anything. So I'm like, well, what do I do now? I don't want to watch television.
My television is white noise for me. I mean, it's on just for some noise in the background.
Because a lot of times that's what it's good for, is just noise in the background.
Right.
So, but I can't write to television.
Oh, see, I can, but it has to be true white noise if I'm writing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It has to be something that I'm not going to just stop writing and start watching.
Right.
Yeah.
It's just
yeah. So because at some point you're going to,
Well, if it's a show, you really can't get into it. So I normally will have something on, like Rhonda will tell you, because I sleep with the TV on. I didn't used to years ago, but it's something like the Food Network or something where it's not going to be some shooting or something blowing up, but it wakes me up. It's just like, flat, neutral, monotone. I might have reruns of Law and Order, because there's no killing on the old ones. It's just the dead body they find. So anyway.
I now sleep with the television on because my wife sleeps the television on, and she watches crime shows. So people are getting killed all night long.
Is it seeping into your mind while you sleep?
Yeah, so I'm trying to sleep, and the people and now when she's not home, I turn the television off, and I can't sleep because now I'm used to having this low noise in the background. So now I have to watch crime shows to go to sleep with. So
the crime shows.
I'm hooked now. I can't sleep without them.
It can become habitual. That's for sure.
Yeah. So what I've started doing, I headphone up. I put my Bluetooth in, and in one ear, and I listen to my book at night. So I'm just constantly editing throughout the night. So I wake up in the morning like, I need to get this, and I need to tap that, and this name was spelled wrong.
So do you are your books on audiobook?
Yes, they are. The new urban books are on audio. So Motive for Murder, Cold Blooded, This Time Baby, and When It's Over, all on audiobooks. And no, I do not read them. I wish I could. If anybody is listening, I could read my own books, but I'd love to.
Yeah, you have one of those voices that
you have a great voice.
Thank you.
Did you ever do radio work?
Yeah, when I was in Atlanta in the 80s, I was on WCLK and Kiss 104 for a while.
Okay, see, because there's certain voices that are radio voices.
Yeah, this was a radio voice.
And your voice is a radio voice.
I told you when I first met you.
You did say that.
Yeah. All I heard was, she can sign with me. And I knew it was you.
Yeah, my voice is distinctive.
Yeah, it's almost like a Barry White type.
Yeah, I used to be Barry White.
Decibel level.
Barry White in the
No.
70s and 80s, and then I became Darth Vader. And
Okay.
now then I became the insurance guy. No one knows what his name is, but I think he's Liberty Mutual or something, does the insurance commercial.
No, you're talking about that man. He was on Waiting to Exhale. Yeah, that's him. Nobody knows his name.
No,
but,
everybody. You sound like the insurance guy.
No, you're talking about the Allstate guy.
Yeah, is it Allstate?
He was in 24. I can't call his name right now.
Yeah,
but
and nobody knows his name.
I know it. I just can't call it right now.
I don't remember his name. I just know he was on Waiting. I just know he was in Waiting to Exhale.
He was
Whitney Houston's boyfriend in Waiting to Exhale.
He was the married guy.
Yeah.
That Whitney Houston was dating.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But he was in 24 as the president of the United States for.
That's right. That's right. I saw that.
And 24 is one of my favorite shows. I hadn't binged it lately, but I love SB, I like those kind of shows. And he was really good on it. Shoot, I can't call his name, but he was really good. And then I think his name is Woodside. His last name was Woodside. Played his brother.
Okay, anybody who's watching the show, please remind us this man.
Because you know somebody is Googling it right now.
I can't. Right. Yeah, I know, but I don't want to go. I don't want to have my attention distracted.
Because I want to. Like, what is he?
Yeah, but he
I've been talking to you for so long, Roy. I forgot to put your link in the chat. I'm about to put your link in the chat so people can buy your book. Because somebody did want to know what they needed to start with, because he said 70 books. Yeah. And that's a lot of books. They don't know where to start.
I'm a load. If you want to read me, I'm a load. So if you go to Amazon, I'm on Amazon. So just go to Amazon or Barnes & Nobles. Yeah. I don't have a website, so you can't buy from me. But
somebody didn't put his book link in the chat, in the thing. So I'm going to have to find it real quick.
And somebody put Engelbert, but that's not it. That's not the name of the actor we're talking about. I just can't call his name right now. That's going to bother me. But anyway, Roy, what's your 5-year window looking like for the next 5 years? What are you planning to do? Write 2 books a year, 3 books a year?
Right now, I'm committed to writing 3 books next year.
Ooh, okay. And they're all going to be gangster mystery thrillers. That's your lane that you like.
Yeah, that's my lane. There is a story that's been gnawing at me to revive the character that I had in the Suspense, the Suspense series. Because I get to like characters and tend to like, okay, yeah, let me do another one. So the character I just wrote, I was going to kill her off at the end of the story, but no, I'm not killing her off. Sorry.
Well, they can sometimes kill them off and bring them back. So
did that already.
Oh, okay.
Did that.
All right. So a couple of things, Roy. First of all, the actor's name is Dennis Haysbert.
Right. That's him. Somebody who.
There we go. Somebody who find it.
That's who.
And then the Social Book Club wanted to know what a standalone book is, and basically, what a standalone book is it's not part of a series. It's a book with new characters. It's basically an independent story. Would you agree with that definition?
Yes.
That you can recommend of yours.
A standalone that I've written.
Yeah.
Wow.
Or just start with the one you said.
Yeah, start with Is It a Crime?
Okay, Is It a Crime? Okay. Well, Roy,
if you want to go all the way back to the beginning of the series, go to Hostile Takeover.
Okay, Hostile Takeover. Okay, Is It a Crime? Hostile Takeover, and it's Roy Glenn, even though his last name isn't on the screen. Well, Roy, we're at the end of our time. We're at the end of the show, but we really appreciate you coming on and giving us an update on all the things you've been doing and the 70 books that you've written. I didn't know you had 70 books, but I find something new about people every time they come on the show. So anyway.
Thank you so much for having me. I had a wonderful time.
Okay,
well, we had a wonderful time with you.
Invite me back. I'll put my last name on the screen, I promise.
Okay, well, we'll do that. Let us know when you do your next book. We'll make it happen.
As a matter of
fact, when it comes out.
About that today. So when I know, you'll know.
Okay. Yeah, when it comes out, let us know. Okay, well, have a great night.
Good night.
Bye.
Okay. Well, that's it for this week. We somebody won the book. It was, I think Stephanie. It was Stephanie Burnham. So Stephanie, you get your copy of the Queen of Sugar Hill, the advanced reading copy. It has a little bow on it that they did. So anyway, we'll see you next Tuesday. Rhonda, have a great event this weekend. And
thank you.
Next Tuesday night, we'll have another amazing lineup on Black Authors Matter TV. I'm Gwen Richardson signing off.
And I'm Dr. Rhonda Lawson. Have a wonderful evening and a great week.
Thank you for tuning in, and join us next Tuesday at 7 p.m. Central, 8 p.m. Eastern for another edition of Black Authors Matter TV.